Welcome to Vintage Lens. Today we're diving into one of the most fascinating campaigns of the American Civil War, Stonewall Jackson's 1862 Valley Campaign. From rare battlefield sketches to authentic wartime portraits and historic maps, we'll uncover the images and stories that brought this campaign to life. If you enjoy history brought to the screen like this, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our next deep dive into the past. The Battle of Cross Keys, year 1862. A contemporary pencil or engraving scene by Edwin Forbes showing troops and the battlefield at Cross Keys, June 7, 1862. This is a field artist's rendering, published in wartime periodicals, used widely as a visual record of the fighting that closed Jackson's Valley campaign. The War in the Shenandoah Valley, year 1862. Wood engraving based on Edwin Forbes's sketch showing Confederate forces burning a bridge at Mount Jackson, an action tied to Jackson's maneuvering in the valley. The image circulated in illustrated newspapers and is held in the Library of Congress collections. Prisoners captured at Woodstock, Virginia, year 1862. Edwin Forbes's pencil drawing showing Confederate and Union prisoners after the fighting around Winchester and Kernstown operations, a documentary field sketch recording the treatment and movement of prisoners during the Valley operations. Fremont's vanguard above Strasburg, year 1887. Plate published in Battles and Leaders, reproducing Forbes's scenes of the campaign. Engraved plate showing Fremont's troops arriving at Strasburg just as Jackson is leaving, illustrating a key moment of maneuver in the Valley campaign. Useful as a visual contemporary reproduction of Forbes's eyewitness sketches. Miller Kite House, year 1827. Photograph of the Miller Kite House, Elkton, Virginia, the brick house used as Stonewall Jackson's headquarters in April 1862 at the start of the Valley campaign. The photo shows the surviving structure that historians tie to Jackson's planning and early operations. Thomas Stonewall Jackson, year 1855. One of the few period portrait photographs of Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson, an 1855 daguerreotype in the National Portrait Gallery. While not a battlefield photograph, it's an authentic wartime-era portrait of Jackson frequently used in Valley campaign coverage and scholarship. Jackson's Valley Campaign, year 2011. Digital map compile. Modern high-resolution campaign map showing movements and dates across the early phase of Jackson's 1862 Valley campaign. It consolidates troop routes, battle sites, Kernstown, McDowell, Front Royal, Winchester, Cross Keys, and Port Republic, and is helpful for matching archival photos to locations. Gen Shields at Winchester, year 1862. A contemporary lithograph showing Union Division Commander James Shields, whose column fought in Valley operations, often reproduced in period newspapers or folios covering clashes with Jackson's forces. The item is tied to First Battle of Kernstown and Winchester narratives. The First Battle of Winchester, year 1862. A large panoramic engraving reproducing a wartime scene from the First Battle of Winchester, actions that are part of Jackson's 1862 Valley operations. These prints were a primary way 19th century readers saw battles. The Photographic History of the Civil War, year 1911. Scanned pages from the large 1911 compendium that collected many wartime photographs and scenes. Includes photographs and reproductions relevant to Jackson's Valley campaign, battle views, troop photos, and landscape shots. Map of the Shenandoah Valley, year 1880. A large-scale map drawn after the campaign showing the Shenandoah Valley topography, created using surveys. While it does not show troop movements, it provides geographic context and was used as the base for later history books. Jackson's Valley Campaign, Spring, 1862. Year, 1978, in terms of publication of the campaign atlas. A modern atlas reproduction map showing major battles, troop movements, and strategic maneuvers of Jackson in the Shenandoah Valley during spring 1862. Though not an original 1862 photo, it maps the historical events with reliable sources. The First Battle of Winchester. Year, 1862. A visual print and sketch representing the Confederate charge at First Winchester, May 25, 1862. It was an illustrated scene, not a photograph, but contemporaneous and intended for public record or publication. Captures terrain, uniforms, and opposing forces in action. Camp scene, guarding Confederate prisoners. Year, May 1862. Albumen print, Brady and Civil War glass negative series, showing Confederate prisoners under Union guard in a camp. The Library of Congress record ties this image to prisoner taking in the Shenandoah Valley, previously associated with Front Royal and Valley operations. Brigade, General Nathan Kimball, Union. Year, 1860 to 1865. Matthew Brady, or Brady Studio, glass plate portrait of Nathan Kimball, the Union general who fought at Kernstown, March 23, 1862. This is a wartime photographic portrait, glass negative, in the LOC's Civil War Portraits collection, useful for visual identification in Valley campaign narratives. Major General John C. Fremont. Year, 1861 to 1862. Period portrait of John C. Fremont, who briefly commanded operations in the region in 1862. The Library of Congress holds prints and negatives, and this record leads to the reproduction image used in contemporary press and Army correspondence. Major General Nathaniel P. Banks, Union. Year, 1860 to 1865. Brady-era portrait of Nathaniel P. Banks, who commanded Union forces in the Shenandoah Valley campaign. Banks's column confronted Jackson at Front Royal and Winchester. General James Shields, Union, at Winchester. Year 1860s, period image of James Shields, depicted on horseback in some period prints tied to Winchester operations. This LOC record points to contemporary portrait prints and reproductions used in 1862 press accounts of battles around Winchester. Brigade, General Turner Ashby. Year, 1861 to 1862. Turner Ashby, leader of the Confederate Cavalry, operated as Jackson's cavalry screen in parts of the Valley operations, shown in a widely reproduced period portrait. General Jubal A. Early, Confederate. Year, 1860s. A wartime head and shoulders photographic portrait of Jubal Early, who served in the Valley Theater and later commanded under Jackson. View of Winchester, Virginia. Year, 1862. Period field view, artist's rendering held in LOC, showing Winchester and surrounding high ground, directly related to the Valley campaign's operations around Winchester. The LOC record includes the image used in contemporary reporting. The Winchester photograph. Year, 1862. The well-known wartime Winchester photograph of Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson, a three-quarters pose taken during the Valley campaign era. The Virginia Military Institute's digital collections host the image page and high-res scans of the original wartime photo. Winchester, Civil War era town view. Year 1862. Wikimedia mirrors the Library of Congress copy of the period view of Winchester from an artist's vantage point on the Fort Hill. This image is in LOC's prints and photographs collection and was widely circulated as an eyewitness scene connected to the Valley operations. Battle of Kernstown map. Year 1862. Hand-drawn battlefield map by Jedediah Hotchkiss showing the March 23, 1862 action at Kernstown, roads, fields, and unit placements. This is a primary cartographic record used by Confederate staff. Sketch of the Battle of Kernstown, year 1862. A companion field sketch and draft by Hotchkiss that annotates troop positions and local terrain features for the Kernstown fight. This rough sketch shows the working cartographer's notes and is valuable for reconstructing how Hotchkiss and Jackson perceived the ground. Sketch of the vicinity of Kernstown, Virginia. Year 1862. A close-in sketch showing roads, farmsteads, and terrain features around Kernstown, useful for matching period accounts to actual landscape features, turnpikes, streams, and fences. Hotchkiss's local sketches often served as the basis for larger campaign maps. Sketch of the Battle of McDowell. Year 1862. Hotchkiss's sketch showing troop dispositions at McDowell, Sitlington's Hill, and Bull Pasture area. This drawing records where Confederate and Union elements deployed on May 8, 1862 and includes terrain hatchers and notes used in after-action accounting. Sketch of the vicinity of McDowell, Virginia. Year 1862. A local scale map around McDowell showing roads, nearby heights, and watercourses. Hotchkiss prepared such vicinity sketches to give Jackson and commanders context for movement and flanking options during the Valley operations. Sketch of the vicinity of Cross Keys, Virginia. Year 1862. Topographic plan sketch of the Cross Keys vicinity, June 8, 1862. Shows Mill Creek roads and the local ground where Ewell's men halted Fremont. This is a Hotchkiss original in the LOC collection and a crucial map for studying the Cross Keys-Port Republic pair of battles. Topographic map of the battlefield of Port Republic, Virginia. Year 1886. A large-scale topographic map recording the Port Republic battlefield, rivers, roads, property owners, and relief. Though this edition dates from later Hotchkiss work, it documents the June 9, 1862 engagement and is widely used in modern battlefield analysis and preservation efforts. Map of the Shenandoah Valley. Year 1862. The famed large-scale Hotchkiss map of the Shenandoah Valley, from Harper's Ferry to Lexington, that Jackson explicitly tasked Hotchkiss to prepare in March 1862, essential for understanding the routes, defiles, and defensive points that made the 1862 campaign possible. Map of the Shenandoah Valley. Year 1880, published. A large-scale map drawn after the campaign showing the Shenandoah Valley topography created using surveys. While it does not show troop movements, it provides geographic context and was used as the base for later history books. Multiple maps illustrating Jackson's Valley campaign. Year 1880. Proof sheet published. A composite proof sheet containing several maps. Battle of Kernstown, McDowell, Cross Keys, Port Republic, etc. It includes troop positions and colored distinctions, helpful for comparing phases of the campaign. Topographic map of the battlefield of Port Republic. Year 1886, map published. Hotchkiss topographic map showing battlefield terrain of Port Republic with streams, landowners, relief. useful to locate features such as the coaling and track where engagements occurred.